Hey, welcome to another Two Bear Arms Channel broadcast. Today we're bringing you On the Trail with CC and Deuce. I'm CC.
And I'm Deuce.
Hey, we thank everybody for watching or listening today. And today we're going to start the topics off talking about a really exciting release of registration for Land Run. Deuce, cover a little bit about Land Run coming up.
Yeah, well, Land Run is the new home for the national championship, the SAS National Championship, which what used to be called Winter Range has now been moved to Oklahoma.
Yep.
And the Oklahoma City Gun Club, and being hosted there. And quite recently, just in the last few days, they've released the application for that, and there's quite a buzz.
Right.
So
yeah, that's pretty exciting, and I'm looking forward to going down there for the first time. So
very much so. And I've had the pleasure of being there once, and it's an awesome club, great facility that's definitely can handle the numbers, and great targets, great stages.
Sure. And did they mention on the registration number of stages or anything, or is it?
It's 12.
It is 12.
They're going to run
Okay.
12. Yep.
Okay.
And I believe, could be wrong, but I believe I saw that they're limited it to 750 shooters.
Nice. So they've got a pretty good sized facility. That's
Yes.
I heard the camping there was fantastic too. So I think I'm taking the camper down there for that.
Nice.
And that'll be exciting to make the trip down there. So, and like you said, this is the new national location. And people are still getting confused with, Winter Range and what's going on. They're still calling things the wrong names.
They are. Yeah. And I'm still doing it myself personally. Yeah. It's hard to undo 20 years of
right.
But
to remind everybody, Winter Range name has been retired, where Winter Range has been, and the dates are still valid, but that's now EOT, the World Championship.
And the trail is at the Ben Avery Shooting Facility in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
And the National Championship, which what used to be called Winter Range, is now called Land Run.
There you go.
That is in Oklahoma.
There you go. And don't try to hurry and register for your end of trail because it's already full.
Yes.
And with a pretty extensive waiting list, I understand. So that's great. That's very exciting. We're going to that too.
Over 100 deep on the waiting list.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. And I'm sure Land Run will be probably a waiting list by
I'm sure
tomorrow. Next day.
Judging by the reaction online, they may have a waiting list in the next couple days.
Yeah.
So I know they have both paper and online applications available.
Wow.
For registration.
Wonderful.
So, yeah. I don't envy them sorting through all that because we've been there, done that. But,
yep. Their turn to do it, I guess.
Their turn to do it. Yep.
That works out all right.
But they're up to the task.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be a fantastic event. Heard little bits and pieces about, that club and what's going on down there, and people that have been down to it before, just as Land Run it, they said it's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to
Flat
it.
Top Okie and Missouri May and
great
Royce Creek Dan, great folks.
Yep.
Know how to put on a good cowboy match, and they definitely are. And probably the coolest cowboy banquet venue I've ever been to, which is the Cowboy National Hall of Fame.
That's right. That's great.
And just awesome museum. They have a lot of, it's just cowboy. And they have a lot of memorabilia from, both Old West and modern rodeo stuff, but they've got a lot of John Wayne stuff there. And it's you get to walk through the museum beforehand or after or during, and it's cool.
That's
way
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I kind of actually geeked out a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was there last time.
You do that a lot. I'm a little concerned about that.
I'm kind of a trivia master, and that's the reason I shoot this game.
Right.
So it's because I love the history and all of it.
Sure.
And, so that was cool.
Good deal. Well, we hope we see everybody there, and those that don't get in, take a look at all the other great shoots around the United States. And what other shoots are you planning on for next year? Do you know yet?
Definitely, there's some that aren't kind of my must-make list. The Iowa State shoot.
Iowa State, absolutely.
Memorial Day weekend put on by JB Kidd.
Yeah.
Little
I
Hermana.
hear rumor it's his last one, but anyway, he knows
we
what
better
that's
not.
about.
We better not.
Yeah, we ain't
start
going
that
there
on,
yet.
like,
No, I'm just starting
to our
vicious rumors. My
listenership.
apologies.
That's a vicious rumor.
My apologies. Yeah,
But
I shouldn't have said that out loud.
JB is the listener. So he's either gonna laugh or cry.
Yeah, I'll get a bad text about that. My apologies.
JB and Little Hermana and who's that one dude's name? JW. Oh, John Wesley Harden.
Oh yeah,
We don't like to.
Yeah.
And Cactus Clark.
Oh yeah, we like Clark.
And Tuco. I mean, they put on a heck of an event there, guys. It's a small, intimate shoot.
Yep.
But I'd love to see it be larger.
Yep.
For them too, because they put in a lot of effort, and it is a top-notch event.
Well, there's great shoots all over the nation, and we've been to a lot of different ones. And both of us have been doing the game for well over 15 years, and that's one of my very, very favorite shoots is at Iowa. I think it's just a hidden gem. Like I say, there's a lot of great shoots. So I'm not taking away from all the other great shoots. It's just that one's just kind of a hidden gem. So
it is.
If you haven't been out there to the Iowa shoot Memorial Day weekend, that's we'll be there, which may discourage you from going. I don't know.
It might. Maybe. But we can be a good time.
We can be.
Yeah.
We can be. Yeah.
On occasion.
Yeah.
And, I'm definitely going to make the Indiana State shoot.
Well, yeah.
The date's to be determined yet. But
we're getting it sorted down, and I'm going to be sending out the information to the crew to discuss. God, you're trying to nail me down, aren't you?
No, I'm not. No,
in the next couple of days, I will.
We're already here.
I am pledging. It's true. We're already set up for it.
We're already set up for it.
We're so excited. We're here early.
Yeah.
But in the next couple of days, since Deuce is pushing me, I will put the dates
a lot of people want to know
to the crew, to the Paradise Pass committee, and let them mull it over a little bit and see what they think and get some feedback on it, the options that are available. And I know. Along that lines, we're talking about obviously the Indiana State, and then we have to set a date for the black powder, make black powder great again.
Black powder great again.
Yep, and Big Iron Bohannon.
Old school match.
Yep, short-term memory running those. So we got to get them a date, which will probably be a little later in the summer, I think. And then there's some other exciting events going to be announced here later on.
Yep.
And we're looking at a 2-day shoot, our annual 2-day. Since pandemic, we haven't had that in a while, but I was thinking about that today and, haven't even had a chance to discuss it with you, but we'll talk about that maybe tomorrow and add that to the list of things for everybody to talk about on the crew page. So we'll have dates soon on that, folks. People, and since we're on the topic, people have been asking. I had one of the shooters in today in the store here, dropping off a gun to have some action work done on. And he was talking about memberships for Paradise Pass. The Paradise Pass memberships will be open again January 1. We always make the memberships valid from January 1 to December 31st. That way, for accounting purposes, we end and begin completely flush for the year. So anybody that's been wanting to know about how to get the Paradise Pass membership, we'll announce it on our Facebook page. So follow the Facebook page. We'll announce it when it's up. Then you can register, but it'll become valid January 1. And that'll get you your discounts and get you into the member shoot and that type of thing. So anyway, okay. Well, we'll move on here a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about, since this is on the trail and all about SAS, we're going to talk a little bit about match management and something actually quite a bit about.
Yeah, we both know quite a bit about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Go ahead and lead off with part of the discussion.
Well, I thought it would be an interesting topic because it seems to come up all the time. I'm not going to say it's a point of contention, but it is always a point of spirited conversation about match design, setup, layout, philosophy. Every time there's a major event, the subject seems to come up, yes. About what style of match it was or what were the results. And, I've been doing it right at, February will be 21 years for me. Mm-hmm. You're right there with me. Mm-hmm. I've produced, guys, definitely, we're not tooting our own horn.
Right.
We're just relating our own experience.
Sure.
I was a state match director at Michigan for 13 years, and then, was the end of trail co-match director for 5. Mm-hmm. And you've produced, and in that time, I also produced a lot of monthly matches at a couple different clubs. Yep. You've produced oodles of monthly matches here at the Pass since its
16
inception.
years worth.
16 years worth.
Yeah.
And then you've also been involved with...
we've done 12 states.
12 states.
Yeah.
So...
Yep, 12 states and one EOT.
And guys, in that experience, we will tell you that we've had as many learning experiences. We won't call them failures.
Right.
We won't call them failures, but we will call them learning experiences over time. At what works and what doesn't work, and when we say what works, pretty much comes down to the shooters
Sure.
and the feedback that you get, because this is an entertainment based
Absolutely.
activity.
Yep.
We're all, there's no money involved. Nobody's getting rich. Quite the opposite, actually. Right. And
darn it.
Yeah, no prize money involved. So people want to have a good time. By and large, people want to have a good time. Early on, there's been a definite shift in match philosophies as time has gone on. Mm-hmm. You've seen it here on the monthly level,
absolutely,
and how monthly matches are set, and then of course state matches, and as the sport has grown and aged and gotten mature, more mature, people's tastes can change, and as new membership comes in and old membership leaves, ideas change as well, and expectations change. And this was a huge year for me after all these years, because I started producing the Michigan State match. When I agreed to do it, I was 24 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm now 40. So it was a total trial, but I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. I mean, I went home and asked Kendra, "Hey, can I do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure, I guess." And then boom, I'm right in the mix of it. And you want to talk about learning some lessons early on.
Yep.
I mean, and and that was before a lot of SAS has done such an awesome job with. And I know at times there's some criticism on it as far as our rule books and the amount of rules that we have, but the amount of rules that we have and maintain, and the RO courses and stuff. I mean, there's just we've got some awesome programs
absolutely
in place, and and we've got some great RO instructors out there, and I can tell you that people talk about the golden age, the good old days, but from top to bottom, when I look back 21 years ago compared to now, I mean, the scope that I look through things is a little different now, obviously, but we are living in the golden, we're still in the golden age. I mean, more care is being given to the entertainment of the shooter, I think, now more than ever.
Yeah,
and,
I would agree with that.
I mean, it's forever there's always been comparisons to other action shooting games, and which I really personally don't care for, because we're not IPSC, we're not IDPA, we're not USPSA, all great disciplines,
sure.
That have their own style and their own challenge, but we're cowboy action shooting, and for me personally, quite frankly, I don't care what those other disciplines think of us,
right? Because
they're apples to oranges. I mean,
sure.
they're not comparisons. And the great thing about cowboy action shooting is it's an inclusive sport, and anybody can come in at any skill level and immediately be welcomed and taught, and I will say this, it 99.999% of the time, your top shooters in this game will share everything they know, even right down to the equipment.
Yep.
I mean, it, and you don't find that in a lot of other events. I mean, it's like, hey, take my $2,500 race rifle and finish the match with it.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you some games where that's not going to happen. Yeah. So,
right.
And
the other thing that they need to look at with the cowboy action side of things, and one thing that makes our sport unique, is that, yes, you can be here just for the shooting, that you want to go out and, set fast times or shoot clean or whatever your goal is for the day. But there's also those that come here for the costuming, or for the touch of history, or for the friendship, camaraderie of others. It makes it somewhat unique, because when you think about the other shooting sports, it's about the shooting. They don't have the costume aspect. They don't have the history aspect. And I'm not taking away from any other shooting sport. They're all fantastic. We've done a lot of different ones. We do them in the summertime here and enjoy them immensely. But that's what's making the cowboy side very unique, is that we're giving them a lot of different aspects to pick from. Some of the older shooters that come in here, they know they're not going to set a 20-second stage or a sub 20-second stage, or maybe even a sub 40-second stage. But they're here for the friendship. They're here for the costuming. They're here for the maybe the black powder and the booms.
Sure.
Shout out to Dallas McPew Pew or McBoom Boom, whatever his new name is.
Right.
Seen the video the other day. That was awesome.
Yeah.
From stage 5. So and while he is a very fast shooter, he's also here for effect.
Right.
His booms with that black powder loads were incredible. I think he was shooting a 10-gauge shotgun.
He was shooting a 10-gauge. Yeah.
Somebody trying to win overall does not shoot a 10-gauge shotgun with full of black powder shells, but that was impressive.
By the way, Dallas, it was obnoxious and awesome.
It was obnoxious and awesome. When my chest rumbles a stage and a half away, that's
well done.
Cool.
Whatever 85 grains of BP or plus or whatever you're running in those, it's
It's kind of expensive to burn up $600 worth of black powder in a match, but that's
that's his prerogative.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
And he, but again, you won't find a more diverse crowd.
Yep.
As far as the reason, as far as their whys, than what you will in SAS.
Yep.
And even the most staunch, serious competitor among us has friends in the game. Sure. I mean, and that's, they have people that they gravitate towards. And they have
to name names. Oh, no, never mind.
But they have running buddies, and most of them do, at least I should say. But, so, kind of going back to match management, it's no secret that people love big and close targets nowadays.
Yep.
People want to hit stuff. People want to come away shooting clean within reason. And I say within reason. I don't know what that is, to be quite honest with you. I've shot matches where the farthest pistol target was 3 yards, and I've shot matches where the closest pistol target was 7 yards.
Yep.
So, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong there. But matches nowadays are judged by attendance.
Yes,
by and large.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that.
And what is that number? Kind of depends on where you're at.
Yep.
So,
and clubs different times sometimes attempt to reinvent the wheel on a lot of things. And while there are times to attempt new things, there is a certain level of mainstream that I think a lot of shooters expect when they come. And there again, that causes attendance to increase if they can go there. I always take the philosophy, if I'm writing stages, is that at the end of the day, people have to leave feeling like they shot well.
Right.
Some of it is by stage design. Some of it is by target sequence. Some of it is by the amount of transitions or other items offered during the stage. But at the end of the day, when they get in the car, they have to drive away feeling like they shot good and not defeated.
Right.
Long ago, some of the clubs that I traveled to long ago, some of them are around, some of them aren't. But, I remember distinctly getting in the car a few times and just feeling like a terrible shooter and feeling like I didn't have a lot of fun. And that was because the design or the situation was so difficult that it wore you completely out.
Yeah.
Or it felt so foreign, like I just shot it I'd shot that. It was like I'd never shot before.
Right.
And I remember driving away one time from a match and going, "Oh my God, why am I doing this? This was frustrating."
And that was coming from you, who did not have a grand design of being the next world champion.
Exactly. I've never.
So I mean, a lot of people might say, "Well, you just wanted to become." No.
Right.
You were there to be entertained and have a good time.
Yeah.
You were there to you weren't working.
Right.
You were off the clock.
Right.
You were, you were there. There's a gazillion things you could have been doing. You could have been fishing, could have been hunting, could have been golfing.
Yeah.
But you were cowboy shooting.
Sitting on my butt eating potato chips and watching
Yeah.
TV.
We're doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so and guys, and I know there's going to be people that listen to this that might disagree with the philosophy, but that's why this is our podcast.
Yeah.
So
we'll listen to yours and check your philosophy.
Yeah, we'll listen to yours, and and that being said, is that I love spirited debate, and I love hashing out these ideas with people, and as the game has progressed, big and close has become kind of the standard.
Right.
And again, that can what's big and close can vary from where, depending on where you're from and what you're doing.
And big and close does not have to take away from a portion of challenge in the match. And this is something I think sometimes where it crosses one way or another too far is, okay, so like when I'm riding stages, there again, this is just the way I do it. Opinions will vary, but I try to put one challenging aspect into each and every stage. And what I mean by that is maybe it's gun transition, or maybe it's location that you have to shoot from, or maybe it's target sequence is a little harder, or maybe the target distance is a little harder. But then the other elements come back into the normal stay of play. So if we have a bunch of gun transitions, it's going to be a fairly simple scenario. But they're going to have to focus on all their transitions. Or you'll see me a lot of times write it to where it's a shooter's choice. I think anybody that attended Indiana State last year seen it at its fullest from me, is that I think out of the 10 stages we shot, I think 8 of them were shooter's choice. What gun, don't end with rifle or end with shotgun or whatever. And starting location, gun placements were varied, and that was the major part of my hard element, was for each shooter to decide. And I tried to make it to where sometimes those can be written and really there's only one option.
Right.
But in my attempt at state last year was to make sure there was multiple options and give the shooter the thinking power ahead of time to kind of design their stage the way they wanted around the parameter of the sweep and which gun to end with.
Yeah.
And like this past Saturday, we had one stage, and when people read it, they were kind of like, he cheated to write a simple stage on this by just saying hit every target twice. But I had 5 pistol targets, and I had 3 rifle targets.
Right.
And there was a sucker bet rifle target in the middle of that because it was it was half the size of the other targets. And the pistol targets were varied, kind of in an X design. And it was amazing running the timer. I got to watch how people shot that. And really, very rarely did I have 2 shooters come up and shoot it the same way. I think you and I had talked about it when we were loading and went 2 at the bottom, 1 in the middle, 2, and then from top did the same thing. Next shooter came up and started at the top, went down, and then went at the center, and then went, so every time, and same thing when they got to rifle. Some of them tried to go 3, 3, 4. Some of them went 2, 2, and then dumped, it made it fun for me to watch that stage evolve, that there was just a lot of shooter's choice in a very simple stage description. And that was fun. And I think a lot of shooters enjoyed that too, because they could manipulate it the way they want. And then there was a lot of movement in that stage. Yeah. So,
and the game as a whole is in a place right now where the equipment is so good.
Yep.
Guys, the equipment is so much better than it was 20 years ago.
Oh,
I mean, we had no idea what we were doing. I mean, we were literally, and we were, throwing darts trying to get them to stick. And some on the guns we used, the gun mods we would try, the ammo, it was
the holsters collapsing.
When part of your technique had to be opening your taking your opposite hand to open your holster so you could get it back in. Yeah. And we'd keep tennis balls in our holsters. And I know there's somebody who's listening who's like, hey, I still do that. But there's plenty of good holsters out there, guys. So,
all Merticle.
All Merticle. Where I was going with that is that I see it done so many times when everybody tries to reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
And it may be because they want to come up with something new and cool. It may be because they think it's boring, but the game is at such a level now, guys, that the shooters create the competition within themselves.
Sure.
I mean, we're not talking about seconds. We're talking about tenths of seconds and hundredths of seconds, separating shooters in all categories.
Sure.
In all the you just don't, it's just not within the Cowboy category or the Wrangler category. I mean, it's in all categories. And the level of shooting is high and the proficiency of shooting is high.
Yep.
And so the shooters create the challenge and they create the competitiveness. And in my experience, if you seek out to manipulate that as a stage designer, a lot of times the customers aren't going to like the results.
Right.
And that's just in my personal experience.
Yeah.
And I'll be vulnerable here at this point in time. And this year's, again, not tooting my own horn, this year's EOT, we had so many wonderful compliments,
Yep.
which made us very happy
Oh,
after the work.
Yep.
But, we had a lot of great comments. The negativity just wasn't there,
Yeah.
but I still came away with it with a constructive critical eye on myself.
Sure.
And, I had one stage in a trail that I wish I would have written differently and set up differently.
Yeah.
So because it, on paper during setup, it all made sense
Right.
at the moment.
Right.
And then over the scope of 500 shooters, I'm like, yeah, that was too much.
Sure.
It was too much.
Yep.
And it was stage 12.
Yep. Yep.
And I knew it was too much when people said, well, you had the little targets way out there. Well, they were 16-inch targets at 3.5 yards.
Right.
They were 16-inch targets next to 18 by 24-inch targets.
Right.
Amongst a challenging, I'm going to call it a more non-standard sweep that most people hadn't seen before.
Yep.
With some shotgun transitions.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Lesson learned. It was too much for the stage.
Yeah.
And guys, like I said, I learned a lot in the last year on mass production. And I can tell you from 100% from personal experience is that you cannot, as a match director, you cannot will people to become better shooters.
Right.
Through match design.
Right.
Does not happen.
Right.
You can try.
And you can't create a situation where you're slowing down the fast shooters.
Right.
You may change the dynamic of the total time of the match, but the fast shooters are still the fast shooters. The average shooters are still the average shooters, and the slower shooters are still the slower shooters, and that's okay.
Right.
So don't go in with the mindset that, and I guess that's the other aspect that this segues into is that, during match design, and, you're fantastic at it. And there's a lot of great match directors that are, but there are some others that need to kind of look at making sure that it's not geared towards one category or the next. And like in my case, I'm a double duelist, and I'm also left-handed. So I'm shooting 97 rifle from the left side.
Yep.
So I guess the pretense would be that I would write stages along that line that would become gunfighter or whatever friendly. I stay very cognizant of that while I'm writing stages, that I don't want them to be that. I want them, because a lot of times I'll stand down there, even just for the monthly, when I went down to write the monthly last month, I stood down there, and as I was writing out the sequence, I'm like, okay, so how's a two-handed shooter going to do this? How's somebody with a double barrel going to shoot it? How's, what are their options that they're going to place the rifle? And I spend more time on that aspect than actually figuring out what sweep or how far apart the targets are going to be or how far back they are. I spend more time figuring out how are they going to perceive the stage and where do they need to start to give it a overall great opportunity for all categories. And I think that gets lost sometimes in transition, that sometimes more wants to be wrote into the design of the sweep, or that will vary these targets, and they forget that they're gearing it towards one category or the next. So,
which can be hard to do, which can be hard to think outside the scope of, one thing that I used to do with Michigan is when I would get a rough draft of my stages done, I would go out to lunch with my Uncle Johnny.
Yep.
Deuce's Uncle Johnny, who is retired from cowboy shooting now, but
what a great guy.
Yeah, at the time he was in his early 80s.
Yeah. So he was still young and spry.
Still young and spry. And we'd go out to lunch, and I'd show him the stages.
Yep.
And there's a guy that, a good shooter, got good transitions and has good mechanics, but doesn't light the world on fire necessarily from a speed standpoint.
Right.
And but I kind of used him as a baseline for, what do you think of that? How does that sound to you when you visualize that? What do you think? And if he wasn't crazy about it, I'd give it some thought.
Yeah.
And and you try to think of everyone.
Yep.
You really do.
Yep.
It can be hard at times. And again, guys, if you try to, in my experience, if you try to will if you try to get a result, if you try to get a specific result out of stage design, a lot of times you're going to be disappointed as a match director.
Sure.
And you're going to probably get some criticism.
Sure.
And guys, I can tell you, match criticism of the years, you got to have a thick skin.
Yeah,
if you produce matches, because guys, if your targets are spot on and everybody's shooting clean and loves it and they love the scenarios, guess what? There's going to be an outhouse that runs out of toilet paper.
Oh, sure.
Or or their water cooler that was empty.
Yep.
So I mean, it's going to
rain.
It's going to rain.
It's going to rain.
Just when you think you have put on a masterpiece, there was always something as a match director that comes back and says, okay.
Yep. Yeah. The rain's going to be your fault, just so you know, as a match director.
Yep.
So
yeah.
just the way it works.
You do control the weather.
Absolutely. Yep. Shame on you. So, and the other thing I'll say, me being left-handed, and obviously when I go to matches, I obviously notice faster than, all left-handers notice right away when the stages are set up for right-handed movement.
Right.
What I mean by that, getting to the shotgun, getting to the rifle, or moving with them. And I think it's just an easy thing to overlook if you're right-handed.
Right.
But spend a second when you're writing those stages. Think, how's a left-hander going to move, especially if it's a stage where they have to move with the shotgun. The shotgun's, 97 or double barrel, I guess, but 97, since we're not broke open, we're action open, but
you're a left-handed 97 double duelist. I don't know if there's really a worse combination.
It's the only thing I know. I tried
awful.
Two-handed once, and that made me vomit in my mouth one time. So
minus.
Yeah. Oh wow!
I mean, it's just you just cover the gamut right there.
Can we do like golf and add a handicap to my score? Since
I mean, the only thing that'd be worse is if you threw BP in the mix.
I need an eye patch.
An eye patch. It's no, you guys, and I'm joking.
No offense to anybody wearing an eye patch.
Yeah, exactly. But one of, like, talking about right-handers, left-handers, one of my philosophies at our state championship that I always tried to do is that I would have a strong right-handed stage, and then I would have a strong left-handed stage.
Yeah.
And and there would be some mirrored stages and some stages with options that you can run. But if I had a strong right-handed stage, I would respond with a strong left-handed stage because that challenged both sets. I mean, because again, guys, I like writing. I write challenges in all the time, but they're in nuances through like transitions. Me personally, I'm never going to make you try to hit an 8-inch target at 10 yards with your handguns at a major match. Just not going to happen. Because it's just I got family. I've got my little ones are shooting the game, and other little ones, and guys aren't. There's a lot of people that aren't bullseye shooters in our game. You got to think.
Well, and like this past Saturday, I mean, it's November.
Yeah.
This past Saturday, we had basically, I think 4 or 5 new shooters that have shot less than 5 matches.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple of shooters that haven't shot in almost 2 years.
Yep.
That's. You've got to remember those folks too, because they have to leave here feeling like they weren't defeated.
Yep.
And that way they come back.
And then people always kind of want to respond with the every kid makes a soccer team mentality, which I guess there's arguments for that, but that's not what we're based on. I mean, we're here to have fun. Right. Cowboy was literally invented to be the anti-competitive game.
Sure.
I mean, that if you talk to the founders, talk to any of the Wild Bunch members, and they will tell you they did not want to be the next IPSC or the next IDPA, and because they had all played that game.
Sure.
They wanted to do something different. And am I advocating that we go back to jumping out of bathtubs and crawling under wagons? Probably not. I did that. You did that. Yep. In our neck of the woods here in the Midwest, we were slow to transition to some of the more mainstream styles.
Good way to put that.
Yeah, we did some crazy things on this property.
Yep.
It's I did plenty of picking shells out of saddlebags here and wishing wells and laying across the saddle and those are honestly, they're great memories, and I'm glad I experienced it.
Shooting the guys' guns behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, shooting the guys' guns behind
load
you,
and then trade guns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've shot. I remember one monthly in particular, a Michigan monthly where you had to shoot a Shiloh Sharps.
Yeah.
As part of the main match. Wasn't really a problem for me at 6'1" and 250 pounds.
Right.
But it was a problem for the 80-pound woman that had an issue with the 14-pound rifle that she had to shoot in the middle of the stage or take a miss.
The rifle was taller than Mingo when she stood up.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there have been some wonderful advancements that I'm glad aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
So and I can speak to that with experience.
Sure.
And I think you can too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But again, guys, just going back to and we realize that a lot of clubs are kind of dictated by their steel quality too as well. And some clubs that are held within a sportsman's club and have some bylaws and stuff like that regarding target distance. And what we've learned here over the years is that quality of steel can also dictate
you bet
your distances and your layout and your setup. And it was wonderful to have some nice quality AR 500 to literally put wherever we wanted for end of trail for our handgun targets. And and we realize that it can be difficult, but there's also ways around that. And if you're resourceful, and if you rely on your club members' talents and what they have and their abilities, you can come up with some pretty awesome stuff if you're lacking for that. So we realize that some clubs are, curtailed by some of that.
Yep.
But, those are just kind of some of our philosophies, I guess, on it. And we have our monthlies, we try to keep them fun.
Yeah.
Try to keep them inviting and entertaining, and people keep coming back.
Yeah.
So either they're gluttons for punishment or they're having a good time. We're not sure which one it is, but they keep, and we appreciate it. Very much,
absolutely do. Absolutely do. And, we're blessed in the Midwest with the number of clubs that are available for everybody to go shoot. And we realize people can't go shoot every single weekend.
Yeah.
We'd love to.
Yeah.
But
we certainly can't. But.
Yep. So, we're very fortunate for all the folks that choose us to come to. And like I say, there's a lot of fantastic clubs here in the area. And we try to make it to as many of them as we can. And we're going to next year to a lot more of them. But, you got to keep it fun, got to keep it fresh, got to keep your customers coming back. And probably the last thing I'll say on it is, think of it as a movie. If you watch a movie and at the end the hero dies or it has a very odd or unfinished ending to it, you kind of leave the movie like you never want to see anything else that's put out, as a sequel or anything of that nature, because you feel a little defeated or a little bit bad that the hero died in the end. And kind of the same thing if you leave the match and you felt like you've shot really bad, even though you're an average shooter or a good shooter. If you leave feeling that, defeated, you're less likely to make sure that you can make it to the next match. So,
and people tend to have long memories.
Yes.
They retain their, because I can tell you, and it can take people. Last year, the last year I produced Michigan, somebody went on social media and people were talking about the upcoming Wolverine Rangers Range Tour, which I was producing, and people were talking about how excited they were for the event and blah 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 blah. And one gentleman got on there and he said, "Oh, I attended Range War and this call was made and it was the wrong call and the match director totally blew it and blah, 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 blah." And I got on there and I'm like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
When did this happen?" Well, it was like 17 years ago.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
I looked up the scores. It was the last time he'd ever attended Range War. I looked up the score. It was literally 17 years ago.
Sure.
4 years before I got there.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, really?
He's pretty good at holding grudges.
He's pretty good at holding grudges.
Yep. Okay.
But
I wouldn't know anything about that. So that's,
we don't do that. But never forgive, never forget.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I remember that.
No, but that's just it's like if you ever watched the Cowboys with John Wayne, Bruce Dern, kills John Wayne in that movie. Well, every time I've ever seen Bruce Dern in a movie, I have hated him for that since I was a child. Bruce Dern's a wonderful actor.
Sure.
But he killed John Wayne.
Killed our hero.
Never forgot that. So even when you saw him in roles in the 2000s, you're like, yeah, that dude.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
That's him.
I don't know where his house at. I'll burn it down.
Right. You just, people have memories about that kind of stuff. So it can be hard to bring that back too.
Yep.
And
leave everybody laughing. That's the goal with us.
Yeah. And guys, I've never filled out a comment card in my life at a match.
Yeah.
I don't do it. And I if it's something, my buddy Santa Fe River Stan told me a good policy. He said, if there's something that I'm really upset about with the match and I feel like I want to talk to match administration about it, he said, I wait 2 weeks.
Yep.
And if I feel the same in 2 weeks, then I'll have a nice private, polite,
there's the key,
conversation with them.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no excuse to blast match administration on social media. I'll say that right out loud. I don't care who's listening. There's no excuse for it. I mean, there are multiple ways and channels. Everybody's email addresses are out there and phone numbers and stuff like that. And if you feel passionate about something, the correct way to do it is privately contacting them. Yep. If you go on social media and you put people on blast, you're going to hurt a lot of feelings and you're going to get a lot of people riled up.
Yeah. And then, this happens on Facebook and then also on the wire. You can get yourself a reputation by being that guy.
Absolutely.
They are out there.
Yeah.
I won't name any names just because I don't want to get sued.
They're out there. Right. You don't want to get sued, but they are definitely out there.
There's a top 10 list of guys that are just notorious for complaining about this, that, or everything.
Yeah. And it's not that we don't want to hear the criticism or we can't take the criticism. It is all about the delivery, And, and I can tell you guys from personal experience that in the parking lot, after dumping your heart and soul into an event for 2 weeks, maybe just a pat on the back and saying, hey, see you at the next run.
Right.
And then maybe if you want to talk about something maybe later on, then, I mean, because guys, match directors are just like everybody else. Yep. They're not being paid to be there. Yep. And they're on vacation like like you all are. So be respectful. I'll straight up say it. Be respectful of that.
Absolutely.
And there's ways to deliver that, and there's ways not to. And again, just keep that in mind. And until you've walked in those shoes, it can be hard to comprehend sometimes. Yep. But because we all want to have a good time, and we all want to, I came here to do this, or I came here to do that, and I'm disappointed. Well, I understand that, but this is not Amazon.
Right.
So,
and I'll take this moment too to thank all the match directors, even at the monthly level, all the way up. What Deuce is talking about is stuff that we've done, and we've felt the joy, and we've also felt the pain, and then we've also felt the exhaustion from it, mental and physical. And, so thank you to all those that have taken on match direction, even at the monthly level. It's sometimes a thankless job. Yeah. And for everyone who hasn't tried it and you think you got it figured out, go offer to try it.
Sure.
And mentor, find a mentor that has rode a lot of stages, work with them, learn from them. And get out there. We need more match directors. We need more helpers. Yep. As many people know, Paradise Pass is very blessed with the crew that we have. We have a lot of good match directors within our ranks that on many occasions, while we've been out of town, things like that, they've ran the match and put on great matches. And we're very thankful to have them. And I'm sure over, next summer we'll have even more wanting to step up and help and do a great job. So say thanks to your club match directors and all of those working behind the scenes to make matches happen, because without that, you get to sit home and do nothing.
Right.
Or take up water polo or whatever.
Yep.
So,
and you guys, you'll be surprised what a kind word can mean to a wore out individual.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you from personal experience that I could be completely fed up with an event.
Yep.
Just get me out of here.
Yep.
And one person can come up and smile and relate, and it recharges your batteries.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's just like, oh, hey.
Happened a lot this year.
Yeah, let's start working on next month.
Yeah.
Let's start working on next year.
Yeah, what are we doing next year?
Yeah, what are we doing next year? So, and guys, and, I'm not talking about blowing smoke up,
Right.
And that's not what I'm talking about. But just, level of appreciation goes a long ways for a lot of your match officials. And they're all over the country.
Right.
Month in and month out.
Right.
So,
and if you're one of the people that complain all the time, maybe just, tell the match director, hey, thanks for having clean porta-johns. Something, give them something.
Sloppy Joes were great.
Sloppy Joes were
whatever.
Fantastic. Your paper
really
was crisp.
Really like the way your hair looks today.
Oh, very nice.
Something.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let's move on just a little bit. First, we got to pay some bills here. So I'd like to thank Hall and Morose, or Hall, WR Hall Insurance. Used to be Hall and Morose. Now it's just Hall. Mike runs the whole deal. Yeah. So Hall Insurance Group. Mike, thanks for all your sponsorship for this and for our shooting events out here. They're, again, been insuring us for over 20 years. And fantastic group of people there. They can take care of about anything that you need. You need to give them a call. Yep. So what's the tagline?
WR Hall, they've got you covered.
There you go. Excellent. Excellent. I like when I pop that off to you and you do that. That's cute.
We need to record that.
Yeah, we need to record that and then just have Phil press a button there. So
and some sound effects.
Yep. And then also We the People Munitions Company. I noticed you put a fresh batch of ammo in the store today for deer season starts this weekend here in Indiana. And we've got some fresh ammo for hunting, and 357 just hit the shelf here. I know I had some people in earlier last weekend asking for it, and we'd sold out, but now it's back on the shelf. And a lot of other great calibers produced both for defense, for hunting, and competition and practice shooting. So,
and we're going to try to really do a big push on doing some weekly ammo drops on the website for our competition ammunition as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Watch for that. Keep checking the website and the Facebook pages, and listening on here when we want to tell you about that type of stuff. So last little segment here, because we ran a little long there on the last part, but let's talk a little bit about the mentor program that we've got here.
Yeah, it's kind of it's not anything that we have a book on or anything,
right?
But one thing we do really well, and I say we because I'm generally not involved with it because I'm doing other things, but we do an excellent job of, when we get new shooters in, immediately hooking them up with a mentor for the day.
Yep.
And that accomplishes a couple of things. I mean, it makes them feel welcome.
Yep.
Gets them a level of comfort. And every club's got those couple of guys. It's kind of the easygoing, have fun type of dudes, and we all want to help.
Absolutely,
we're all more than welcome. I mean, we're all more than willing to help.
Yep.
It's one thing we did it this last Saturday.
Yeah, Big Iron
Bohannon stepped up,
grabbed one of the new shooters, and in fact, I was just talking to the new shooter, and I said, hey, I'm going to find you a mentor, and I started trying to figure out who was where on what posses. It was early in the morning, and Big Iron Bohannon was standing there. He said, hey, I'll take him. I'm like, hey, great. So, I turned him over, and he had a great time because he was in the store today, and the new shooter was.
Yeah.
And we had a nice long talk, and he really enjoyed it. And, he made a friend.
Yeah.
And, we've had some great help. Dusty Deputy's been a great help over the years. Flush Draw, Michigan Slim, Furball, of course, is always excellent. So we've been very fortunate with our club. We have kind of people pre-picked a little bit, and then we just, first one of them we spot, we say, hey, we need this person over here.
And we did do that on our posse as well this weekend.
Yep.
So we had a couple of new shooters, and some young ladies, and they had a great time.
Oh, they did.
So
they did.
They left feeling good and ready to buy guns and jump in first. So guys, I've found that it's very important. When you get a new shooter into the parking lot, say hi.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Make them feel welcome.
Because they could be your next club treasurer.
Sure.
Or club secretary.
Sure.
Or co-match director. With a little bit of time, a little bit of mentorship.
Yep.
They can be your next volunteer as well.
Yep.
And it's going to how their first experiences are going to shape. They're going to shape their cowboy experience forever. really. So,
Yep.
you and I can both relate horror stories to when we saw new shooters go the other way.
Yeah.
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 And that's not pretty either.
Sure.
So, so it's, the mentorship program works really well. And I know that there's a couple of clubs, the Cowboys out of Norco, now Razorback Red and those guys over there, they do some new shooter clinics, and it's not really competitive shooting as much as it is, hey, this is what we do. This is how you navigate the game. Yep. And, those are useful tools. And so
I hear out there after the match, if you're a new shooter, you just mentioned Razorback Red, that you heard it here first, and you get a free 6-pack of White Claw. So from
mango
Red.
flavored.
Yeah, mango flavored White Claw.
Mango flavored White Claw.
He carries it in the trunk of his car in a giant cooler.
In fact, the next person that sees Razorback Red in person and mentions this podcast gets a free 6-pack of White Claw from Razorback.
Actually, text him if you have his number or email him, and the next. Yeah. Okay. We'll go with one. All right. I was going to go with like 5.
No, let's do one. We don't want to overload them because I don't know. There's probably a shortage of White Claw.
Well, that could be because he's got it all.
We don't. He keeps an emergency 6-pack.
Okay. So the first person to email him or text him or call him and tell him that they heard it here first, then he owes them a 6-pack of White Claw.
White Claw.
Okay. Yep. And if he has any questions about it, just have him get a hold of Deuce or I, and we'll explain the rules of the game and how he has to fulfill his obligation. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
That's great. Yep. That's what we do here.
We're just trying to help.
We change lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're good. All right, everybody. Hey, next week we go into the unloaded segment where Deuce and I randomly talk about anything that we want to. And, I guess it's a lot different than this one, maybe not. But
I bet you it will be.
Well, it will be, yeah.
The last time we covered some pretty wide topics.
Yep. So. I want to cover a little bit about Let's Go Brandon and Biden's.
Who's Brandon?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. Don't give away the teaser. That. Yeah, okay. And then the week after that, we'll go to Trigger Time. We've got some new firearms industry news to talk about, and by then we'll have the new Springfield 10mm in hand.
Yeah,
they came in today, so I'm going to evaluate them a little bit.
By then, we will be in the throes of deer season.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, maybe we'll both have some bucks down.
That would be very nice. Very
meat in the freezer by then.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're going to beat me to it this year.
Probably.
That's yep. Well, good.
I think it's because I have better hair.
Well, I'm working on it. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see how it turns out there, Skippy. Contest isn't over. So, folks, we thank you again for listening. And as we always say, keep your powder dry. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening.